Alrighty now. Welcome to this week's episode of the Lachie's Weekly Footy Roundup, and we are in showdown week. And our special guest is on his way soon, and that is Mr. Zeta Bennell. Welcome to the show. For this week's episode, we'll be starting off with the round 8 review, the predicting the showdown, and also the ladder after round 8, which I can talk about myself. But for the predictions for the other games, I can do it on another episode. And our special guest is here on the way, wearing a Port Adelaide retro Guernsey from 2004 to 2006. That was one of the best Guernseys at Port Adelaide.
Yeah, g'day guys, Zeta Bennell here. Thank you, Lachie, for inviting me over.
You're welcome. And this week, first up, we got the round 8 review to do, and Thursday night it was a close one between Essendon and North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. I thought North Melbourne were going to win it for a second.
Yeah, that is a very close game indeed. I had a feeling that North Melbourne would win it closely, but yeah, I did tip Essendon to win this game. I knew it was going to be close, and North Melbourne definitely bring out a show. They almost beaten Port the week before, and almost beating Essendon. It's a good game for both teams, definitely.
It was. I just also tipped Essendon. The best player I've seen for the Roos was Sheasel in the midfield and Sherry in the ruck.
Yeah. And Zach Merritt definitely played one of his best performances as well, dominating everywhere he plays, and was the reason why Essendon stayed strong in the end.
And Will Setterfield played really well down back.
Yep. Don't mind me, I'm just putting up my tips from last week. There we go.
Friday night, well...
good win for the Saints at least, but geez, Freo, they can't even win any games away from Perth, so
Cardman 22, if you're watching this, you're going to be happy to see the score on the game on Friday night, and, well, best on ground, it's St Kilda got 5 players in the hundreds on fantasy.
Yeah, 139 fantasy points for Jack McCrae, I think's how that's his name.
Jack McCrae, formerly at the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah. Yeah, 38 disposals that game. Yeah, definitely getting the 3 votes there, that's for sure.
Another great game was Callum Welke down back, 24 disposals and 14 marks. One of Connor's old teammates at the Roosters.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
That's very good.
Jack Steele, he's somehow got back to his little bit of best.
Yeah. Definitely.
And best performing docker out there was Luke Ryan, 98 in fantasy.
Luke Ryan, best player for Freo. Yeah, they'd beaten the Crows the week before and come to Melbourne to get smashed by St Kilda.
Yeah. Fremantle don't need to bounce back against the Saints 8 weeks later in Perth.
Yep. The next game, we can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, it was going to be a brief one, really. It was a disaster class.
I travelled to the game myself, and half of the stadium was gone. There was only about 4,000 that attended to the game, or just under 5,000, I should say. And it wasn't a great game for Port Adelaide at all. Didn't show up at all. I don't think I can name anyone that played very well, except for maybe Horn Francis. But the experience itself, the ground, not the greatest place to watch footy, especially when it's under huge redevelopment. But great game for the Bulldogs. They definitely showed a lot of effort for that game, and definitely could be finals contenders for sure.
I'm so sorry that you had to travel all the way to see that loss.
Nah, it's okay, man. I've seen worse.
Meanwhile, mine and Jaden's boys versus Carlton at Crows versus Blue Baggers at Adelaide Oval. Good win for the Crows.
Yeah, that just shows that Carlton, whenever they play against the Crows at Adelaide Oval, they don't do well. And Crows definitely, I reckon it's probably their best game of footy they played this year.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the Crows this week later on.
Last time the Blues had beaten them in Adelaide was back when Chris Judd came back from suspension.
Was that the last time?
It was 2010.
Jeez, that was a long time.
And that was after Favalis had pressure point chicken wing.
Oh, wow.
Well, Free Crows played very well, who all got scores in over the 100s.
Yeah.
Jordan Dawson with 3 goals. Isaac Rankin 2 goals. Carlton's best player on the ground was Patrick Cripps.
Yeah, I don't think with this performance, don't think the umpires will give Cripps 3 votes at all. But yeah, at least Patrick Cripps still tried his best for this game. Yeah, Jordan Dawson definitely, by looking at things, definitely played very well, and yeah, could do well in the showdown next week.
Definitely. Speaking of the confusion between Cripps and Crisp, Collingwood and Geelong at the MCG.
I've seen the highlights. I've seen what happened at the end. It's too bad for Cripps, but that's probably the game of the round, definitely.
Yeah, Jack Crispy has not missed a game for Collingwood since the final round of 2014.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You can tell there was a lot of pressure in him and all that, and a lot of Collingwood fans. Obviously, they were disappointed in the end, but yeah, a lot of pressure for Cripps definitely, and yeah, sadly overtook him, but at least he tried his best in the end.
Yeah, he did. And next game is we're off to Optus Stadium also on Saturday night. West Coast versus Melbourne.
I tipped the West Coast for this game because I actually thought that they would show up. They did in the first half, but yeah, Melbourne, they were too strong in the end and went about 32 points. And Max Gawn, 35 disposals.
And 47 hits on the rock.
What's it say? Oh, yeah, right there, 47. Yeah, Max Gawn, definitely. The best ruck right now in the AFL. 47 hit-outs. Good on him for that.
Definitely. And Melbourne's found our new SA-based Alex Neil-Bullen. Cade Chandler.
Oh, yeah. 26 disposals. Play good game as well.
Christian Petrarca, he's still slowly getting back to his best.
Yeah, because Melbourne, they're struggling. They were struggling this season. They were the first team to lose to North Melbourne. I think they're the only team right now that lost to North. But but they are slowly bouncing back game by game, beating Freo at the MCG a couple of weeks ago.
I was at that game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I forgot that Cameron and you went over there.
Yeah, because I was in Melbourne with Darren, Aaron, Tyrone, and Danny Mansell.
Oh, yeah. That's all good.
Yeah.
At least you got to witness a big upset.
Got it, and also got to witness Geelong winning on Easter Monday.
Yeah, that would have been a great game to watch.
Definitely.
As well.
And for we got the Sydney Derby. So never surrendered. The Giants had surrendered that game against the Swannies.
Yeah, the Giants, they had like a banner made for that game, and right after the game, Sydney removed all of the lettering in their post except for the 2 words, "We lost." And the weird part was all 3 Giants have actually got hundreds of best on ground. Well, surprisingly, wait till that truck goes past. Surprisingly, despite Sydney winning, four GWS players played better than the majority of the Sydney teams. Finn Callaghan getting the most disposals and 1-2-1 fantasy.
Definitely.
Yeah. Tom Green also played good as well.
So did Lachie Whitfield.
Yep.
And next game, and this one is it was a centenary to remember for Hawthorn.
Yep. I expected Hawks to smash Richmond at this game. To be honest, my Instagram story, I expected Hawthorn literally almost winning by more than 90 points, but 65, they'll still take it in the end.
As for the best on ground that game was Massimo D'Ambrosio, 2 goals in his move up to the midfield.
Yep. 30 disposals for him. He kicked 2 goals, 1 behind. That's pretty good. Josh Bale, the second best as well. Surprisingly, Tim Taranto is the best for Richmond in the top 5. So at least he's still doing well in Richmond and all that.
Definitely. If only he kicked straight, Jack Jennerman would have got 4.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it's just 4 away for overtaking Tim Taranto, but. Yeah, at least he still played well for Richmond for that game.
Definitely, and Now we got the last game of that round, the Q Clash, the Brisbane Bears versus the Gold Coast.
Yeah, the return of the Brisbane Bears here. They wore their Brisbane Bears outfit, retro, against the Gold Coast Suns. This was supposed to be the biggest Q Clash because both of the teams were in the top four. Bit of a disappointing result. We expected this game to be very well, but yeah, I think it was raining over there in the end and a bit sluggish, but Brisbane comfortably get the job done and now on top of the ladder, overtaking Collingwood.
Definitely the story of that game was the Ashcroft brothers. Are they going to be better than the Dacosses?
Oh, no, they're right now. Both of them are playing very well. Will Ashcroft, one of his best games he played, definitely. 34 disposals he got. Levi, just a bit under 29, but both of the brothers still play very well. Can't wait to see Brisbane. Is Brisbane Collingwood playing again this season?
Round 21 at the MCG when Collingwood are wearing their retro Guernsey.
So yeah, definitely. Can't wait to see them two teams play again, Ashcroft and the Dacos brothers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Levi Ashcroft, he's looking set to be moving them in midfield more once Lachie Neal retires.
Because as soon Lachie Neal retires, the Ashcroft brothers most likely will be the talk of the town of Brisbane, I mean.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And now we go to the ladder after round 8. Top of the ladder was the Brisbane Lions, 7 wins and 1 loss, and they're back in form.
Yep, good to see Brisbane on top of the ladder. Definitely the best team right now. The Ashcroft brothers, talk of the town, and yeah, good to see them still doing very well, even when they won the premiership last year.
Second and third is the teams Jack Jenovan played for.
Collingwood second, Hawthorn third. If Cripps definitely kicked that goal, Collingwood would have still been first in the ladder, but they still played a good game against Geelong. And Hawthorn at the moment. After the 2 disappointing losses they had just after gather round and all that, they're definitely back in form.
Definitely.
At the moment, and hopefully they could keep it up.
Same here in fourth spot, we got the Japanese rebrand of Gold Coast Suns.
Japanese. That's definitely disappointing for the Suns here. But the Q Clash, they've expected it to be a close game or good game, but wasn't them in the end.
No.
And, got 5th, the Adelaide Crows.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Crows right now?
Playing really good footy, they're 5th on the ladder right now.
Yeah. Hate to say this, but it's true. They're better than Port Adelaide at the moment, and I'm scared for this week. But they're definitely for the Crow supporters out there and all that, because they haven't been doing well since 2017, and it's good for them to see their fellow Crow back in form and all that, and playing exciting footy for most people. Yeah.
Definitely 6th, 7th, and 8th. It was basically a freeway between Barley Smith and Cullen Lords. Former teams and current team.
Yeah, the thing is, has Bailey Smith did the right move of going to Geelong? Because Bulldogs are still, Bulldogs have smashed Port, and most likely finals contenders there.
Yeah.
And for Bailey Smith's new team Geelong, they both won the same amount of games and all that. Let's see if Bailey Smith does the right move in the end. He's playing for Geelong and all that. He's still killing it in Geelong.
Yeah.
But I have to see at the end of the season how he goes and all that.
Definitely, and in 8th spot is GWS Giants.
Yeah, for the Giants. Who do they? Who do they lost to this weekend?
They lost to
they're Sydney. Yeah, three games in a row that they've lost. Jeez.
Yeah,
they did so well in the beginning of the season. They beaten Collingwood first round.
Yeah.
And things going. I think they got a couple of injuries, if I may not be wrong, and all that.
Yeah.
But something needs to happen right now for Giants right now, definitely.
Definitely, and they're also still missing Isaac Cumming as he left.
Yeah. So 9 Fremantle.
And soon to be nickname might be Knife Mantle.
Knife Mantle. Now, I keep hearing all these rumours year by year about something called Flag Mantle.
Yep.
I don't know how many flags they won. I think they won nothing.
0.
So right now they're ninth Mantle, but I feel bad for them in a way. I always respected Fremantle. They're a good club. They've got good players, and yeah, I'm just hoping. I do hope that they do win a flag one day, but
Same.
yeah, it's just got a couple of coaching issues at the moment, and yeah, hopefully something goes right for Fremantle.
Same here, I think.
And they need to stop losing away games and stop winning. I mean, keep winning home games, but do well in the away games. The only away game that they technically won this year was the Gather Round.
Definitely, and
Yeah.
Fremantle, they had recruited a few players from Port over the years, like Josh Carr in 2005.
Yeah, and now they got Quinton Narkle right now,
Yep.
Fremantle, and he's doing pretty well in the reserves.
Yep. 10th on the ladder is the team, mate, Carband 22 goes for St Kilda.
Yeah, definitely. St Kilda are also, just like Fremantle, a bit of a weird team because they could one week they could either play great footy, and then another week they don't really show up at all. And yeah, bit of a shocking upset against upset win against Fremantle on Friday night. I thought Freo would win, but now St Kilda, they definitely play one. They played great footy. The last great game that they won, I think, was against Port Adelaide, definitely.
Yeah, 11th on the ladder. We got the Essendon Medical Clinic.
The medical clinic. Oh, jeez. Yeah, for Essendon right now, they haven't made finals since 2004.
Yeah.
And they haven't won a final since 2004,
Yeah.
I should say. And yeah, still not looking good for the Dons, unfortunately. And
Yep.
I know a good mate that lives in Victoria who's an Essendon fan, Sammy GFC. He's always been up and down for Essendon lately, and
Yeah.
feel bad for him in a way. But yeah, something needs to be done for Essendon at the moment.
Definitely. Speaking of your mate Sammy J, I've heard he's been picked for the Div 12 Resi's game in a few weeks.
I'm not sure if that's true or not. I wouldn't be. He is coming down for it, but I'm not sure if he'll be playing. I know Cardman is an optional at the moment. If they want me to play, I'm more than happy to play. But
same here. I think I might be happy to play if I'm needed as well.
yeah, it could be a good bench warmer and go out there and hopefully kick some goals sooner or later and all that.
Definitely.
Yeah, my team, number 12, Port Adelaide, definitely just like Fremantle and St Kilda, just up and down, and I reckon we're mostly down at the moment, 4 wins and 4 losses. Pretty weird, because one week we get smashed, and then another week we win.
Yeah.
1 week we lose to St Kilda, who we were expected to beat against, and next moment we're expected to get smashed by Hawthorn Gather Round, and the complete opposite happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, last week against the Bulldogs, wasn't the greatest, but yeah, never know for Port Adelaide at the moment. They could either bounce back or something similar will happen and all that.
Yeah. Well, for 13th, 14th and 15th, we've got Carlton, Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah, for Carlton, yeah, they still got good players, and it's hard to say for Carlton right now. Losing to the Crows, they won 3 games. Oh yeah, because they had a bad start of the season, and they won 3 games in a row, beating West Coast, beating. I can't remember the other 2 teams.
North Melbourne and Geelong.
Oh yeah, Geelong was a great. Yeah. If you come from beating Geelong and then losing to the Crows the week after for Carlton. Sydney right now, grand final hangover. They've got a new coach, and right now things are trying to work out for the Swans at the moment. And for Melbourne, a bit of a they had a bad start of the season, Melbourne, and even with their good players like Petrarca and Gawn and all that, they still struggled to win games at the beginning. They've won 3 games in a row now. Hopefully they're back in form and all that.
Definitely, and there are 3 teams heading towards the season over territory: Richmond, North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles.
Well, for Richmond, I'm actually shocked that they were winning games, beating Carlton the first round, upsetting the Suns, who were on top of the ladder at the time. But yeah, for Richmond, everyone did expect them to besides those 2 games, people did expect them to not play very well. They've still got a couple of good young guns and all that. That I think from the draft pick and all that, but yeah, definitely. It's going to be a couple of more years until the rebuild is finally done for Richmond. For North Melbourne, they beat Melbourne, and that's about it. But I still have faith for North this year because they have the last 2 games that they played, they actually did very well. So yeah, once we do the tippings, it's good to see how North Melbourne will play in the future because I still believe that North Melbourne are a good team that people think they are and all that. So yeah, and for West Coast, yeah, it's just I do believe that they will win 1 game right now, but in the future, but it's just hard for West Coast at the moment. They've got Harley Reid, Jeremy McGovern, and all that. But it's just still pretty hard for the Eagles. At least their fans still shows up to the games and all that, because I do respect the West Coast fans. But oh no, it's just not looking good for the Eagles.
Next week they got a winnable game coming up. They got Tigers at the MCG.
Yeah, let me just get my footy tips up right now. There we go.
Before we do the predictions, we got the showdown bet.
Yeah, we definitely do. Let me. Oh, that's. There we go.
After that, we got the showdowns. I don't think there was one of the famous showdowns in that one. It was Showdown 1 in 1997. Port Adelaide won by 11 points.
Yeah, I wish I was alive for that, but yeah, first showdown, it was the talk of the town at that point, and that was definitely the birth of definitely one of the biggest rivalries in AFL right now. It would have been the talk of the town at that point, and I have seen a couple of old YouTube videos of like news and all that. People were excited, and that does it say Tony Modra kicked seven goals to Tony Modra at that game? Jeez.
And Scott Cummings kicked 4 for Port Adelaide that game.
Yeah, he did. It was a good game throughout, what you expect for a rivalry. And yeah, Port Adelaide got the job done by 11 points. Yeah, it was a great way to start off the first showdown, definitely.
Best player on ground that time was Jackson Mead's dad, Darren Mead.
Yeah, that's very good to see. Does it say who won the show?
Showdown medal wasn't even awarded back then.
Ah, jeez. But at least we can see here, Mead got the 3 votes. I'm assuming he would have been the medalist at that time.
Yeah. Turns out on the other side of the coin, that one, it was round 7-2000. Port were up by 7 goals at one stage against the Crows.
Yeah, they were, and then the Crows, I think they tried to come back and it wasn't enough in the end.
Yeah, but Mark Rashudo got the 2 winning goals that game for the Crows.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's another notable one, which is, well, there was a pub fight happening the next day.
I've heard about that pub fight, actually. Yeah, finally won the showdown. It wasn't the biggest attendance showdown at that time, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, but when was this showdown, does it say?
That was in round 5, 2002.
Oh, really? Yeah, 2002 was the year where Port and Crows were in the top 4.
Yeah.
And Port Adelaide were first.
And Crows were third.
Yeah. There too, the South imagine a showdown grand final, would have been great. But now it shows the showdown medal. Jared Schofield.
Jared Schofield won it. He should have been coach of Port Adelaide a few years ago instead of another year of Hinkley.
Thing about Hinkley, he is down in the season. Just false promises for Hinkley at the moment, but yeah, and yeah, like you said, in this showdown, there was a bar fight the next day. There was some pub, I can't remember what pub.
Ramsgate Hotel.
Yeah. They both randomly were there. They were cool at first, but I think it was when they were about to leave or something. They had a huge argument and bloody caused a bar fight. Jeez.
Yeah, and that happened on Josh Carr's 22nd birthday.
Jeez. Bloody made the car angry and all that. Made the car outburst.
Yeah, and in 2004, that was the biggest showdown upset in history.
Definitely, Port Adelaide were heavy favourites for this showdown because we were on top of the ladder and we did not expect the Crows to show up in this one.
And they were bottom of the ladder at the time.
Yeah, they were. Jeez. Mike Rashudo got the best on ground showdown medal. Rowan Treadway, 7 goals. And despite kicking 7 goals, still wasn't enough for Port Adelaide to win in the end. Yeah. 87 to 119 to the Crows.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this was not a good one for Port fans. The semi-final of 2005.
This was the first ever showdown final. I think everyone did expect the Crows to win, but I don't think anyone expected a smashing. This was the same showdown, I believe, that Byron Pickett knocked out one of the Crows players.
That was Brett Biglands.
Yeah, that was infamous for that, and it caused a huge fight right next to the supporters as well. Yeah, it was the first half wasn't too bad, but and then the second half they showed how the Crows were the top team at the time and all that. So 50,000 showed up to the first ever final showdown.
Yeah.
Hopefully not the last, because it would be still good to see like a final showdown in the future.
Definitely, and then there was another massive brawl happened in 2008, round 3.
Oh, really? I can't remember this showdown too well. I think I did watch it a little bit, but I didn't watch the whole game. Bernie Vince got the showdown medal, 12 points. The Crows won. Definitely would have been a good showdown. This was also the year, Port Adelaide's biggest downfall as well after the 07. It was a disappointing year for Port Adelaide that year as well. See all the teams lose the grand final and not play well that year after. But that showdown would have been exciting.
Definitely, at least there was some good news for Port fans in that one. We go to 2013 for that one, the final showdown at Footy Park.
Yeah, I was home for this one, and this showdown, one of the best showdowns ever. If this was the last, they wanted to bring a big show for the last Footy Park game, last showdown football park game for AFL points, and that's what they got here. Crows, I think they were they were up by 20 plus points, and I think it was 10 minutes to go. And Port Adelaide, they kicked the remaining goals. One of the goals that were kicked was the Angus Montfrey's famous goal. It looked like it was about to go to the points, but the ball curved in a way, and got the goal. And Chad Wingard was the match winner, kicking 5 goals that showdown as well. Yeah, definitely was a great showdown. Definitely would have been at the time the best showdown ever.
I was at that game that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was. Although I was disappointed that the Crows lost, but it was still a great game.
Definitely would have been a great game. If people want to know what a showdown is and all that, this is one of the great games to show and all that. And definitely, probably best Port Adelaide showdown win, definitely. Yeah.
This was the only time the Crows version of John Butcher showed up, Lewis Johnston.
John Butcher. Johnston, he kicked 4 goals, which is pretty good. Dangerfield also 4. Chad Wingard 5. Gray 3, also Hartlett. The showdown medal gave him to Chad Wingard. I think he was 19 years old at the time.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, bloody, jeez, 19 years old and you're the showdown medalist. Yeah, Chad Wingard was one of my favourite players at the time. So that was
definitely.
Great.
And then we fast forward 7 months down the track. It's the first Adelaide Oval showdown in 2014.
Yeah, this showdown, I saw it on TV. That was before I went to majority of footy matches. It looked like a great day there. I remember that the game they were giving away free shirts to a lot of people, and I wonder how many shirts the Crow supporters sat on for that game.
Probably sat on a few.
Yeah.
I also watched that game on TV.
Yeah, it would definitely look like a great game, and looking at the architect around Adelaide Oval on TV, it looked absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it was for Adelaide was a good result. 128 and Crows 73. Chad Wingard got 4 goals, but it was Hamish Hartlett that got the showdown medal that game. So I'm assuming that he played very well and all that.
Jay Schultz kicked free that match.
Jay Schultz, he played well. He's my all-time favourite Port Adelaide player as well, Jay Schultz. And Eddie Betts, first ever showdown as well, as a Crows player.
4 goals.
Yeah, 4 goals. He still played very good, Eddie Betts.
3 goals that game went to one of my fellow Athelston Raggies, Mitch Gregg.
Oh yeah, that's very good.
And I've talked about it a lot now in Athelston.
Oh yeah, that's very good, yeah.
2 goals to Robbie Gray, a young Ollie Wines, and Matt White.
Oh yeah, Matt White, he was a very good recruit. He got goal of the year that year as well when he played against Richmond. Yeah, very exciting player, Matt White.
And then 1 year later, 2015, it was the showdown where everyone got together.
Yeah, this was the first ever showdown that everyone was together because of the Phil Walsh. Rest in peace to him. He would have, in my opinion, would have been Adelaide Crows' best coach.
Yeah.
This showdown was important, definitely. It was already going to be broadcasted on Channel 7, but yeah, definitely one of the saddest showdowns, but it was still one of the best showdowns, definitely. But it was almost the same fairy tale for Port Adelaide, almost. They came back, but unfortunately it wasn't enough for Port, and Crows got the job done in the end. But
it was only 3 points.
It was still 3 points. No one's still beaten the 3-point record. There's always been 3 or 4 points in showdowns recent times, but yeah, definitely would have been a great showdown to watch. It's definitely would have, at the time, the best showdown win for the Crows. Scott Thompson, best on ground as well, which is very good. Paddy Ryder also played, which is pretty good as well. Chad Wingard was still in his prime at the time.
So was Robbie Gray.
Robbie Gray, definitely, yeah.
And Schultz kicked free as well.
Yeah, that's very good. And for the Crows, Josh Jenkins, Taylor Walker, Charlie Cameron was also playing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a tough time for the Crows as well, because the week before they got smashed by West Coast.
And Port won the week before against Collingwood.
Yeah, Port Adelaide did very well, doing a good tribute for the great Phil Walsh right after the game. So yeah, great for us, and yeah, for the Crows. Sad times for them, but yeah, they still played finals that year and tried their best to win everything for them. But yeah.
Yeah. And now we fast forward 2.5 years later, 2018, the year after the Crows had their grand final hangover.
It was 2018. Yeah, this was, if I'm right, this was the game where Stephen Motlop got that match winner.
Yeah, it was, and Mitch McGovern almost kicked the winner.
Yeah, almost did. Yeah, this showdown, because at the time there wasn't any fantastic showdowns, but Port Adelaide was also on a losing streak against the Crows in showdowns at the time as well. But yeah, this showdown was very important for Port Adelaide as well. 6 goals, Robbie Gray. Jeez, I think that's the most amount of goals he kicked in a game by looking at things. Yeah, it was definitely entertaining, definitely good to watch. I'm looking at the thing, Taylor Walker, Jacobs was injured as well during the game. But,
and McGovern did his ankle.
Yeah. Showdown medal was Robbie Gray. I don't blame him for that. He's definitely played one of his best games of footy ever. And
Tom Rockcliffe finally played well in the Port Adelaide Guernsey that game.
Yeah, you never know in showdowns. There's always the player who unexpected to be good, and then also in showdowns that's where they turn up and all that. So yeah. So don't know what's going to happen this week.
There was one player on the Crows best in that one. He went to Port Adelaide.
I can see his name.
Rory Atkins.
I do think he might play this weekend, in my opinion, because Port Adelaide, we are well known for having players to play against their former clubs. So I wouldn't be surprised if Port Adelaide decides to let Rory Atkins play against his former side.
Yep. And then 12 weeks later, the Crows got their revenge.
Yeah, definitely. They got their revenge there. And this showdown is also probably, in my opinion, the most controversial showdown as well. It was still a great showdown, but this showdown here, I can't remember who kicked that goal. But
it was Josh Jenkins.
Josh Jenkins, yeah. It looked like that it hit the post. Even Josh Jenkins thought that it hit the post as well. But there was at the time where they had that, where they wasn't sure that it was going to hit the post or not before that wavy meter thing. But yeah, there wasn't enough evidence to overtake that it was a point or not. So they're giving the Crows a goal. Port Adelaide, they should have responded to that because because Port Adelaide, they could have easily kick a goal because there was like 4 minutes or 3 minutes left, and Crows were just too strong in the end. Robbie Gray, out of all people, still got the showdown medal, despite Crows winning.
And that was also Chad Wingard's last showdown.
Yeah, before he went to Hawthorn. He still played very well, Chad Wingard, 4 goals. Same with Robbie Gray, also 4 goals. And Josh Jenkins kicked the most for the Crows, 3. Rory Sloane, 2.
And then all of a sudden, then there was 2022 round 3 showdown 51.
Was this the goal after the siren?
Yeah, it was Jordan Dawson.
Yeah. This showed, God, only 39 people showed up to that showdown. Jeez.
Yeah, this was only just recovering from COVID.
Yeah, and this was at the time that people were a bit uncomfortable going out just yet. But yeah, this showdown, I was at this game. And I was at the side where Jordan Dawson got the goal after the siren. I was hoping when you looked on TV, it looked like that it was going to miss and all that. Everyone thought it was going to miss because the way they kicked it, but the breeze was in its favour there for Jordan Dawson. It smoothed all the way to the goal line, and it got a goal in the end. My opinion, I hate to say this as a Port fan, but this had to be like the greatest ending for any showdown. Like, if people wants to know what a showdown is and all that, this is one of the great games to show to people and all that.
Definitely, and for the head-to-head, we got the Crows on 28 wins, and Port Adelaide also on 28 wins.
Yeah, think about showdowns. You never know who's going to win. You never know. Cause,
got it.
Yeah, Crows could play well that season and then Port Adelaide wins an upset, and Port Adelaide could do well and Crows win an upset. So this week's showdown, you don't know if Port Adelaide's going to respond or not, or the Crows, they'll find a way to win again.
And then also, all of a sudden, I think, although Port dominated in the SANFL head-to-head throughout the years, while the Crows dominated the women's head-to-head.
Yeah, Port Adelaide still haven't won a game for the women's yet. The Crows were always too strong against Port Adelaide because Port Adelaide in the women's, they're only a new team. They've made the prelim this year, which is great. It's great that Port Adelaide, the women's, are doing very, very well. But Crows has been around for ages. They won 3 premierships before Port Adelaide joined the league and all that. So
yeah, they did.
I reckon it's going to be a couple of more years until Port Adelaide finally wins the showdown for the women's.
And then I think there was a few players that actually played for both the Crows and Port Adelaide in AFL and Port Adelaide's SANFL side.
Oh wow! So you got Darren Smith, who was number 1, and also Simon
Tregenza. They both played for Port and they played for the Crows.
Yeah. Pardon me. So it shows Port Adelaide list. Does it say anyone that played for both Port and Crows in the... Oh yeah, so we got...
Ian Downsborough.
Don't know who he is.
He was a bit part ruckman for both clubs.
Ah yeah. So he's the first player for the Crows to join Port Adelaide. Matthew Bode. There we go, and a couple of others.
David Brown also played AFL for Port after he left the Crows.
Yep. So I can see someone's name in 15 who now plays for Collingwood now.
Billy Frampton.
Yeah, so but Billy Frampton, he was okay in Port, but he was always a Crow supporter. Billy Frampton went to the Crows and wasn't liking the club there, and he went to Collingwood, won a premiership for Collingwood. Can't really say anything negative about Billy Frampton anymore because he's now a premiership player.
And there was another Port player that went to the Crows who later won a McGarry medal, Brad Symes.
Ah, yeah. That's good on him for doing that. Yeah.
He started at Port in 04, then left to go to the Crows in 2008.
Yeah, and now won the medal for over there as well.
Yeah. And then there was a few women's players that actually shared between two clubs.
Yeah, because at the time, Port Adelaide were a new team, and we all knew that Aaron Phillips was going to join Port Adelaide. Like we all knew that was going to happen. But yeah, Port Adelaide finally had their AFLW license. A majority of the Crows players wanted to join Port Adelaide to help out and all that. So at the time there were about 5 there are 5 Crows players that moved to Port Adelaide. Aaron Phillips is the biggest one. We've got Foley as well. Mules,
Just Ash Woodland.
Yep.
But Sarah Goodwin, however, went the other way.
I remember her actually. Yeah.
She started off at Port Adelaide.
Yeah. So yeah, that's first Port Adelaide player that moved to the Crows. Yeah.
And Hannah Ewings is now the second.
Yeah. I knew someone did this year as well.
Yeah. Well, let's hope the same does not happen to Matilda Scholes.
Yeah, Matilda Scholes. She's definitely great for the power right now.
Yeah. I think the Crows will probably try to recruit her.
I hope not, because she's doing very well.
Yeah.
For the power, great ruckman as well.
Definitely.
And I see some of her things on social media that are pretty funny, but yeah, definitely. Right now, I reckon she'll be a future young gun for power in the future, and hopefully she stays in Port.
Definitely. And for the prediction for Saturday night's game between Port Adelaide and Adelaide, Showdown 57.
It literally could be anyone's game, because with Port Adelaide they always have a poor game, but then the week after they always show up. They've done it against Collingwood. They lose Collingwood, then they show against Richmond. They lost to St Kilda, Port Adelaide, and then show up against Hawthorn. They lost to the Bulldogs, and could they do it against the Crows? Because a lot of people are saying the Crows could win, and I do see their point. But I did tip Port Adelaide to win by 2 points, but it literally could be anyone's game here. Also, Port Adelaide 3 years in a row they get to wear the prison bar Guernsey. Good on them for doing that. And I'll be going to the game definitely. I won't be sitting my allocated spot though. I'll be at the GA area for it, but it could be the biggest showdown ever. I'm hoping it is, because the showdown's definitely one of the top 5 biggest rivalries right now in the AFL, and even a lot of Victorians, they always put on KO, watch the showdown, because it's always been a good game. They always had close matches, always been exciting, entertaining to watch. The last showdown Port Adelaide won. It was also the same game where Dan Houston played his last game for Port. He said it was going to stay, but we all know the story. But I reckon him hitting Isaac Rankin impacted his decision and all that.
And it impacted Port's premiership hopes in 2024.
Yeah, I reckon Dan Houston would have been very good for the finals. But yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My tip for this game, I'm still going to go for Port Adelaide by 2 points. And if we're going to talk about showdown medals and all that, I reckon Jason Horne-Francis.
Got it. And it could be anyone's game, really. I reckon. I've got a feeling it'll be close. I'm going Crows by 1 myself, but never know with Port Adelaide. And my showdown medal, I'm going with. I reckon maybe Riley O'Brien.
Yeah, I could see that happening. But we'll just have to wait till the results at the end of the night. And they also changed the time for the showdown as well. It's now 7:40 Adelaide time now.
Yeah.
I'll be also there watching the reserves play as well.
Got it.
That game, the Crows will win easily, the reserves game.
It's because unfortunately Port Magpies aren't in good form.
Yeah, Crows, because I think Crows, they always recruit a lot of good players, while Port Adelaide, which just, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with reserves, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Hopefully we don't win 2 wooden spoons in a row.
Yeah. No news very soon. It could be a VFL showdown coming up soon between the two sides.
If both Port and Crows, most likely Port Adelaide are the ones that wants to go to the VFL the most, and if they do, the Adelaide Crows will most likely do the exact same. But a VFL showdown, that'll be interesting to see.
Definitely. While we predict the other 8 games. Fremantle versus Collingwood on Thursday night in Perth.
Let's get my tips up. There we go. Yeah, Fremantle, they're always very good at home. They always show up at home and beat all odds. But whenever they play away, it's never good. But because it's a Fremantle home game, I have tipped them to win by 5 points. For Collingwood, though, they did lose to Geelong, and they are a good team, Collingwood, this year. But yeah, I've tipped Freo to win by 5 points for this game.
For mine, I'm going with Fremantle by 11.
11. That sounds like a good call. And then we got the Spuds Brawley game.
Saints versus Carlton at the MCG.
Yeah, St Kilda have always been confusing form. One game they either play very well, and then the next week they don't play what they do the week after. And for Carlton, it has been a win and miss for Carlton this season. St Kilda have won 2 games in a row at the MCG for Spuds game. I think they've beaten Essendon, and then year after they upset Collingwood. Everyone thought Collingwood was going to win that game, but yeah, St Kilda, all odds. And because of that, and because it's Spud Frawley, St Kilda will win this one. I can't remember how many points they said it'll win by, but if I have to guess, maybe about 10 points.
I reckon the same. I'm going Saints by 12.
By 12, yep, that's all good.
Next game, it's Melbourne and Hawthorn at the MCG.
This one you think it'd be easy, but Melbourne, they're slowly getting back in form, and this is the true test for the Melbourne Demons at the moment. Hawthorn, they're definitely, after the Port Adelaide and the other game that they also lost, I'm still going for Hawthorn for this one, but I reckon it'll be closer than people will think it is. I reckon Hawthorn maybe about, maybe I'll go 17 points in the end.
I reckon Hawthorn by 21 points, and they haven't not beaten Melbourne in nearly 10 years.
Oh, wow. So we'll see what happens. It is Melbourne's true test right now, see if they are a good team again. But right now, I most likely going for the easy tip here, easy decision, a safe decision, I should say, and say Hawthorn.
And the other game, we got Essendon and Sydney at Marvel Stadium.
Essendon and Sydney, they've always had good matches in the past. A bit of a hidden gem rivalry here. These two teams, I think they always have good games at the SCG more than at Marvel. But yeah, for this one, I have tipped Essendon to win an up. I shouldn't say it's an upset because it says that Sydney are favourites, but I still think that Essendon, they wouldn't want to disappoint their home crowd, and I reckon they'll get the job done. I'll say I might say 31 points.
I reckon the Bombers will get up by 22.
Yep.
And we got the other Saturday night game, Gold Coast versus Western Bulldogs up in Darwin.
Yeah, Gold Coast disappointing loss last week against Brisbane, and for the Bulldogs smashing Port Adelaide. Thing about Gold Coast, they always play well in Darwin, the Gold Coast Suns. I don't think they've ever lost a game up there before.
No.
Bulldogs used to play a lot of games up at Darwin, mostly against Port Adelaide. They're returning to Darwin this year. I reckon this could be the game. Besides the showdown, I reckon this could be the game of the round. I reckon Darwin, there's always good atmosphere up there, and for the Gold Coast Suns, they get to wear their Indigenous Guernsey is well that they're wearing exclusively for Darwin. For this game though, Gold Coast are always good in Darwin, and I'm going for a safe tip here for the Suns, and I reckon it will be by 20 points.
I've got Suns by 27.
Yeah.
Now we move on to Sunday, Richmond and West Coast at the MCG.
Nothing too much to say about this one. West Coast could finally find a way to win. This is technically almost Battle of the Spoon, almost. Richmond, I'm going to go for them to win for a safe tip here, but we never know for the Eagles. Both of the teams aren't in good form at the moment. West Coast definitely would want to try and win their first game of the season, and it's at the MCG as well. But I'm going to go for a safe tip here and say Richmond.
Same. And next game, we're off to the Cattery, Geelong and Giants.
So, I think it's GWS. Yeah, they won last year. Can't remember if they won the year
But
before that.
they won last year, the year before, 2021, and 2019 at the Cattery.
So, yeah, surprisingly, GWS, they always do well at the Cattery. You would think that in the Cattery, Geelong would win all the matches because it's almost, I always say to people, beating Geelong in Geelong is like winning a grand final. But for GWS, they've always managed to beat Geelong over there. 7th versus 8th here. It's hard to say, but I have tipped Geelong to win. I'm going to say Geelong by 10 points, I think.
Definitely, I reckon Geelong by 16 points as they're going to snap the 7-year drought against the Giants.
Yeah. And then, yeah, we've got the last game here.
North Melbourne and Lions in Hobart.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. Brisbane will win this game. $6 they're paying North Melbourne to win. They're only playing 2 games this year in Hobart, North Melbourne, because they're playing 2 games, home games in WA this year, because they got some because they managed to sign contracts there, and there's a lot of North Melbourne fans, surprisingly, that lives in WA. They're playing a game in like a country town 2 or 3 hours away from Perth, and the week after, randomly they're playing a home game against Fremantle at Optus.
Yep.
But yeah, North Melbourne for this game. North Melbourne, they've always been good lately, but yeah, this is definitely North Melbourne's true test here to see if they actually are good at the moment, because they almost beaten Port, they almost beaten Essendon, and they're playing against the top team, and you never know if North Melbourne could actually surprisingly win the game here, or Brisbane, because they're on top at the moment, they're playing strong footy. But I'm going to go for the safe tip here and go for Brisbane. But I wouldn't be surprised if North Melbourne actually wins this game.
I think I might go a little bit of a risky one in myself, going with the Roos by a point.
Really? Yeah, I do see that happening. Yeah, because North Melbourne, they've almost been Port, almost been Essendon. They actually are playing good footy at the moment. I don't know what Alistair Clarkson's doing, but right now it's slowly work in progress, and it's doing well as well. So, yeah.
Definitely, and before we go, I think I'm gonna list my. I think I got the show. I think we got the showdown best 23s to look at.
Yeah, so I got mine. I got Port Adelaide right here. So right here. So I'll do my top 5 best showdowns for me. Number 1, Crows and Port. 2023 for Chad Wingard goal. Number 2, Jordan Dawson after the siren. 3, the Stephen Motlop moment showdown. 4, the first ever showdown. And 5, the Phil Walsh tribute. So I'll talk about my best 23. So in fullback, I put Hamish Hartlett, Aliru in the middle, and Tom Jonas right here. And then halfback, Kane Corns, Dan Houston, and Peter Berglund. In the centre, I got Brendan Lade as a ruckman, Kane Corns, and
Chad Collins as well.
I think it's Chad Corns beginning. This was his brother Kane, and Travis Boak, and I've also put him as captain. Half forward, Jack White, Rowan Treadray, and Robbie Gray. And in full forward, Willary, I'd do a big call here. Jay Shoods and Daniel Motlop. Followers, Gavin Wanganeen, Zach Butters, Short Jew. And for the benches, Sean Berglund, Westhoff, Michael Wilson, and Josh Carr. And if we are doing a sub, I'll put down Connor Rosie as sub.
Definitely, and I'm just looking up my best lineup for the Crow showdowns. In the back line, I'm going with Ben Hart.
Yep.
Nathan Bassett.
Yep.
And I've also got, and also down back I'm going with Steffi Johncock.
Ah, yeah.
In the halfback line, I've got I'm going with Luke Brown. Centre half back, I'm going with. I've got to go with Daniel Talia.
Ah, yeah.
Another half back. I'm going with Nigel Smart.
Nigel Smart. How smart are that?
And for my ruckman, I'm going with Sauce Jacobs in this one over Sean Wren.
Ah, yeah. That's very good.
And I've also got Tyson Edwards in the centre, and I got Andrew McLeod on one of the wings.
Oh, Andrew McLeod. He's probably one of my top 5 favourite Crows players.
And also in that midfield, I got Scott Thompson, Mark Rashudo, and Rory Sloan.
Yep, sounds good.
While on the forward line, I'm going with Brett Burton in the half forward flank.
Yep.
Tex Walker at centre half forward, and in the other half forward flank, I'm going with Darren Jarman.
Ah, yeah. Good old Jarman.
Forward line, I'm going with Eddie Batts in the pocket, Tony Modra at full forward, and in the other pocket, Scott Welsh.
Yep, Eddie Betts and Tony Modra. Tony Modra's probably my all-time favourite Crows player. I've always seen his highlights, and I just love the screamers that he takes and the great goals that he kicks as well. Definitely one of the most exciting Crows players ever.
Definitely on the interchange bench, I'm going with Simon Goodwin, Mark Beckley, Premiership captain in 97 and 98, Sean Wren, and I've also got Richie Douglas on the bench.
Richard Douglas, yeah.
And for my sub, I'm going with Jordan Dawson.
Yeah, good call there.
And I think if I have to swap out one, might have to swap Scott Welsh out with Isaac Rankin.
Oh, you're talking about the emergency here, so
if
there's an emergency for Port Adelaide, I don't have one here. You know what? For an emergency, I'll go Byron Pickett.
Got it. That's 2 exciting emergencies there, Rankin and Pickett.
Yeah, both of them definitely exciting players. Rankin right now, he's playing exciting footy. He's definitely going to be great for the Crows in the future and all that.
And for Pickett, he was a Norm Smith medalist in 04.
Yeah, definitely. And also, Norm Smith medalist. That was probably his best game he ever played as well, that grand final.
Definitely. And that will wrap up the episode. And next week we're on the round 10. And 3 weeks' time, I've got a special appearance guest coming on again in round 13, and that's Marmalade.
Oh wow, that would be brilliant. Yeah, Marmalade you'll definitely love.
Definitely.
With Lachie Brown, great guy and all that. And I have to thank him for inviting me over for this showdown. Definitely talk of the town in South Australia. And looking forward for it as well. Hopefully it's a great match. Hopefully it's the best showdown ever. The last great showdown was the Jordan Dawson goal. Hopefully it's a close one.
Definitely.
Yeah.